This week I had 3 choices of movies, and I had to pick only one. The first choice was the sequel to Peter Rabbit, Peter Rabbit 2, a movie that was supposed to come out last year. And while I was okay with the first movie, I didn't think that the second one will hold on a candle. So I decided to scratch that one. The second choice that I wanted to see is Meet the Blacks 2, which it was a surprise because honestly, I never even remembered that that movie even existed. I remember that I did watch the first movie because I saw the first movie years ago, but I mostly went there because since it was gonna spoof The Purge, I was kind of interested on that. I don't remember if I just came out hating it or saying that okay, maybe it was a little bit too colorful, but so a sequel from a movie that I absolutely forgot kind of tells the big reason why I decided to skip that one. So I went for the third option, which is a movie that I decided to go because first of all, it looked really good and I needed to watch at least a good movie after a few blunders. Granted, the Conjuring that Devil Made Me Do It was a good one. Even though I really wanted something that can lift my spirits, and also because the more I saw the trailer of that film, the more I thought that people went through a lot to make this film because it was being promoted left and right. In the movie, when I watched the trailers, when I saw the kind of like a trailer from in the Oscars, man, that I really felt that this was they really pushing this movie for us to watch it. The movie in question is none other than In the Heights, a movie directed by John M. Chu, and which is an adapted screenplay from a Broadway play written by this guy named Lin-Manuel Miranda. He is mostly well known for that production. I think it was a production film or a Broadway film, Broadway play, which is known as Hamilton. If you ask me, I neither saw Hamilton nor the In the Heights original play. So I went this movie very blind to everything. I just keep hearing people a lot saying that Lin-Manuel Miranda is he did a really good job in Hamilton. He basically is technically reconstructing in a good way how musicals should be. But this is just from what I heard, not exactly from what I see, because again, I haven't seen all these things. My only speculation that I saw from the trailer is that, well, it looks like he has a lot of a Latino pride in it, which particularly I was attracted to, because yes, if you don't notice it, I am Latino. I was born in Ecuador, and despite the faults of my country, I'm a very proud Latino in one way or another. I'm not gonna push it like that. Still, let's say that I'm pretty proud of the Latinos. That's to put it in short. The biggest issue that I was actually kind of skeptical is mostly because of the nature of musicals. Don't get me wrong, I like musicals. There are some good musicals, bad musical, corny musicals. Sometimes the musical has this kind of traps that it becomes a little bit too corny or too happy. That's to the point that you can't take the whole thing seriously, or that in the case of a lot of animation that wants to become a musical, they usually use music and songs only as an excuse to pad out a storytelling, and it just comes out just a disingenuous, insincere way to give out an excuse of people just saying that, look, we can make all these characters do stuff because, well, everybody loves singing and dancing. So this is technically the biggest trap that musicals had. But of course, there are good ones. So far as I can remember, in case of musical, I liked Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. Is it kind of like a musical? Because it's been years that I have seen one. I think that the last 100% musical I have seen, it was La La Land, but it was years ago. I haven't got into it. And by the way, I'm mentioning those. I'm not counting like Frozen 2 or any animated Disney film that they just want to add music because, well, they're a Disney film. So I just went to the Indie Heights blind. I was actually having expectation that it's gonna make me feel good because I had some glimmer of hope to this film, and that glimmer of hope was rewarded. I absolutely came out of this film with a bright smile on my face. Granted, it's not a perfect movie, but I really love it. I can easily say that this is probably one of the best movies I have seen this year. And if I don't see something that can top it off, maybe is the best movie I have seen. And it's a good thing because after going through some stinkers, that still is still in my mind, like Cruella. I needed something that could counterattack, and In the Heights, it managed to do that. Even when it's a musical, a genre that not many people, or some people kind of snobbishly, they just dismiss it as it's just people singing and dancing, when you see in real life that they basically don't do that. But here's the thing. Sometimes the beauty in the art of cinematography is that sometimes we just need kind of like a movie that makes us feel well. Well, they can be grounded because if you lose that ground level, you will lose your believability. And this film, it does it. So In the Heights, does it have a story? Yes, kind of like a small scale set of stories that they do mesh with each other in order to complete one. Is basically centered on this little New York neighborhood called Washington Heights. I know that it's a real life place in which it is a neighborhood in which there's a lot of Latin American communities. I never been there, so if I don't know much of the history of it, so I'm sorry since I didn't do much of the research. But basically, in this small neighborhood called Washington Heights, we see the life of the people who are living there in kind of like a small community. And most of it centers on this guy named Usnavi, played by Antonio Ramos, who works on a small grocery shop, and he has dreams of getting out of New York to go to Dominican Republic. his supposed home country, and so so in order that he wants to make a business of making a small business, making a bar called El Sueñito. El Sueñito meaning little dream for people who doesn't understand Spanish. And in the midst of it all, you see other set of characters. Like for example, we see Usnavi's little cousin who works with him, who also has to deal, with who is from what I can gather, he's fighting for the immigrants. We also get to see this woman named Vanessa, who is Usnavi's love interest, in which she is doing her best because she wants to move to an apartment to downtown New York because she wants to make it big as a fashion designer artist. But of course, she's struggling with that. We also meet this woman named Nina, who she's a college dropout that she came back from. She came back to town. She studied in Stanford University, and well, she doesn't want to go back, despite that it goes against the wishes of her father. And she also is with her boyfriend, who. What other character they is? Oh, there's a lot of colorful characters. They're kind of like these women who run a hair salon. What was again the name again? Sorry that the name escapes me. We have also Lin-Manuel Miranda also in the movie. In which he makes kind of like a small role of being this what was it called, a pinganero. Which basically kind of like a shaved ice cream, shaved ice seller. I never knew the word pinganero because in my country we only know it granizado. You should check out the shaved ice cream. It's really refreshing, by the way. One other character. Another character I'm missing. The heart of. In between everything, we also have the heart of the community, which is none other of this old lady played by what was the name of the woman? Excuse me, Olga Merendiz. She is nicknamed Abuela because basically she's kind of like the grandmother to everyone. She's kind of like the matriarch of the neighborhood. And if I'm describing more about the character than the story, well, that's basically much that I can say about a plot. It's just about these group of people coping up with their Latino heritage, their Latino pride. Trying to figure out where they come from, but also what they're gonna do in the future in order to better off with their life, making their decisions. But everything turns into them trying to figure out what they're gonna do in order to improve themselves. That's the best way I can describe some of the plot points that this movie gives, because the majority of the film is basically a big stage, and I say that because it is obvious. It is a musical, which is the biggest highlight of this film. The best way I can say is that during the whole transgression of the movie, we just see these series of events of all the characters dropping a plot point, which luckily is not too convoluted and is very easy to follow. and easy, of course, to know what are the characters' goals, what are their ambitions, and I'm glad that each of that the characters, while they have their own set of problems, it doesn't show off technically like kind of like a separate story, like usually they kind of do it kind of like in an American Dad or a Phineas and Ferb episode, in which we got one plot point, but it doesn't matter without the other plot point here and there. At least we have the characters kind of sharing their own opinions about this or that, and so on, so on, so on. Oh yeah, another two plot points that I can mention about this movie without spoiling too much, but I will tell you that one of them has to do with a lottery ticket. And another thing, this movie actually brings out some thrills, because over the course of the movie, it brings you into suspense, saying that it's going to be 3 days away from a blackout. 2 days from 2 days before the blackout. 1 day before the blackout, and I remember that during the movie, it's like, okay, what's so important about that blackout? It was counting like the moon is gonna fall, like in the Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. The only thing I will say is that this blackout is when things are gonna explode. That's all I will say. One of the most important things about musicals is usually how you represent the whole the singing, the dancing, the staging, all the cinematography skills that you can show. And ever since the trailer, I knew that this movie is really, really ambitious. It's probably the most ambitious film I have seen this year. There's a lot when it's about the musical numbers. You see them dancing. You see the people, telling the story while they're singing, and it does indeed. The singing does indeed move the plot along. It doesn't, and also considering the amount of people you see them in the background dancing and everything, is incredible. There are a few moments in which you can see that some of them are computer graphics here and there, but it's really minimal. The most important thing is that they did have a lot of people dancing, a lot of real extras, not computer CGI guys, and I just hope not. I hope not. I'm just saying out of observation. But so it's really well done, really well choreographed, really well edited. I will probably say that the musical number in the swimming pool is probably the most the biggest highlight when it's about the musical numbers. There is also an interesting musical number in which it has two people dancing with their feet on the building walls, which from what I heard, once I mentioned that, you might say that, dude, what are you talking about? Yeah, there are some moments of surrealism, but it doesn't. But luckily, the surrealism that the movie randomly takes, it doesn't diminish the movie or make it feel like this movie is technically a whole fantasy. So you can take it with that. Oh yeah, and the music is really good, I must admit. There's some. I'm not a big connoisseur of music, because I'm not exactly the kind of guy who can memorize lyrics. Yeah, you can even try to teach me how to how to sing what Let It Go, and I will never ever memorize those lyrics. In this case, it's no exception, but you know what? I can still hum it, and I can hum the music that it has, which is kind of weird because I am not exactly into Republican Dominican music. But this is just me because since I grew up in a Latin American community, they always kind of put all these salsa merengue music, and honestly, I got a little bit exhausted with it. If you ask me what are my preferences on music, it's usually classical music or instrumental music. Although it is thanks to Coco that made me revisit my appreciation to Latin American music. This one is no exception. I really dig into it. And by the way, the music is so good that there was an instant during the musical in which I just turned my head while watching the movie, and I saw one guy who just stand up to go to the bathroom, but he didn't just stand up and go to the bathroom. He just stand up and then he just began to dance a little bit like this, and after a while, then yeah, he just went outside for the bathroom. You can tell how good the movie is when technically a middle-aged man just stands up and gives himself a break to dance. At least for a while. That was kind of cute. I'm not gonna lie. What else there is? I already talked to you a little bit about the characters. I do have to mention that the characters are really charming. The character of Usnavi, he's a really likable character. He is charming. Great performance from Antonio Ramos. I really love his performance as well as the others. But personally, I think that probably the best actor and also the best character in the movie is again La Abuela, played by again the name escapes me. Sorry, Olga Menendez. Olga Menendez. Because why this character catch my heart? Well, is that a lot of the Latin American community we know a character like that or a person like that. I know grandmas that are like that. Honestly, she kinda is really reminiscent to one of my grandmothers, who at this current point she's still alive, and she is in Ecuador. Sorry for the motorcycle. And a lot of her Latin American community always have this this motherly figure that she always welcomes everyone in the family. She is really generous, really sincere. She give us this kind and warmth that well, not to disrespect mothers, but not every mother can give. So she and also these kind of matriarch in the family, we can't deny that her cooking is really, really delicious. Oh my God! There's a scene in which she cooks all these dishes, and boy, that I wanted to go there. There is the there was the shredded beef. That there is this big ham, and of course there was the flan. Oh my God, that flan looked so delicious. Now I want one. and the actress really give it all, so much that there was a moment in which she deserved a solo segment, and is really powerful, that leads to a really powerful moment, which I'm not gonna dare you to spoil you, but the least I will say is this really emotional and it really hit hard. So basically, yeah, that's the best I can say about the Abuela. As much as I really love this film, I sometimes have to play a little bit of devil advocate, because if you know me, I don't like to overhype a film, even if the movie is amazing or is great. But a lot of some of the criticisms that I can have with this film are pretty minor and doesn't technically harm the movie experience. But still, I think that I can address something, just for the sake of nitpicking, or just for the sake of not overhyping it. So some of the things that I can say, at least some of their cons, is that man, that there's a motorcycle going on outside. No, that's a negative, by the way. A little bit of negative that I can have with this movie is that it does have a few of the traps that musical has. This one is no exception, in which usually when a musical happens, it gets so concentrated on making a giant choreography, a giant musical, in which no matter how well you do it, and how the music segments doesn't detract from the story, sometimes it can't be helped that it kind of sacrifices a little bit of the story beats and the story themes that the movie is trying to accomplish. In one way, I felt like there are times in which the movie wanted to make kind of like in the sake of snobbing or over analyzing this film. It wanted to make kind of like a theme of the Latin American people who they have hardships in the United States, building up their own dreams, in which they have they come to the States one way or another, or there are children from immigrants, and they struggle to build up what they want to do, either inside the United States or getting out of the United States, so on. I felt like they wanted to go with that commentary. Most notably, I will say that they wanted to open that can of worms with the woman that dropped out of Stanford College, because she brought up the discrimination thing, in which she basically dropped out because she was searched. She was technically not look very well when she was in college, because she's Latina or something like that, and she just came back because it was her comfort zone. So they opened that can of worms, but I didn't felt that it wanted to go further. But honestly, in a way, I'm kind of glad that it didn't, because nowadays, when you put something like that and it became kind of like the main focus of the movie, then the film will then get some accusatory fingers, in which people will call it really preachy, and it's natural that many people don't like preachy films. But on the other hand, I heard that there are some elements that they were cut from the original Broadway play. I can't say anything about that, because again, I never saw the original Broadway play. Even though, thanks to this movie, I am actually really curious to watch it. Sometimes it happened to me that I watch a movie based on an adapted screenplay, and then I get so curious to say, you know what, I want to watch the original thing. So maybe these adaptations maybe has some valid reason to exist. I mean, it happened to me when I saw Les Miserables, in which I saw that musical version, and boy, that it was awful, until I watched the Broadway musical, and it was much better. I also saw. It also happened to me with the Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. I saw the movie first, and then I saw the play. Although in this one, I like both versions, even though the musical version is much more complete. And what I'm talking about that, when I'm supposed to be talking about In the Heights. So, but basically, these are some of the small criticisms that I have when it's about the theme and the story beats that this movie has. Another kind of like small criticism that I have to say is also a little bit in the story is that technically there is the love story comes up a little bit sappy, a little bit corny, but well, to its defense, what romance story isn't? What romance story is not corny or sappy? But this one it stays a little bit on the ground with a bit of a fairy tale touch that it is likable. It feels that it earns that. So actually I had no problem with that. And is there another small criticism that I have with this movie? Honestly, no. Because if I keep on finding criticism to this film, at least up to now, I might come off as trying to be mean-spirited to the movie, and I don't want that. The movie is really good. I absolutely enjoy it. So honestly, I will say that In the Heights, really enjoyable film. It shows a lot of ambition, but at the same time, thanks to a little bit the themes, the likability of the characters, and the acting, it really comes up as a really sincere work of art. It makes you feel good. Right from the beginning and the end, even though when bad things happen, it's not exactly something that is gonna leave you really sad forever. Although there is a sad moment, but I'm not gonna reveal it. Do I recommend this movie? 100% yes. I 100% recommend this movie much better than Peter Rabbit and Meet the Blacks 2. Honestly, one of the best movies I have seen this year. Not much I have to say. Check it out. Live your life with Paciencia and Fe. And I hope you enjoy a nice plate of homemade flan.